Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So today I wanted to go and revisit the NES30 arcade stick. So I'd already put SNES buttons in here, but you see they're kind of mismatched, so I figured why not just get them all red. So I have a handful more red SNES. Gonna throw those bad boys in there, get this looking right. Next upgrade is we're gonna be putting a Seimitsu LS-32 into this guy. Originally I put a cheap SNES clone, which is actually a really good stick, but I've actually decided, you know what? Let's get this stick being legit and try her out on the Nintendo Switch. So I have not used this on the Switch yet, and that's what we're going to test her out on. So I've already taken the bottom plate off. Very easy, 6 screws, boom, 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 get that bad boy off, expose the bottom. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and put in the rest of our buttons. So let's go ahead and swap those out. So as you guys probably remember, it's pretty easy swapping these buttons out for similar style. You know, SNES, some of the SNES clones, they all fit in here pretty well. Typically, you're going to want to just do them individually. So take off the quick disconnects one at a time, pop the button out. They have little squeeze tabs, squeeze them, push them, button pops out. Easy peasy. As you can see here, these are imprinted with the SNES name. These are legit SNES. So we're going to go ahead and pop them in. They will click into place, and then go ahead and put your quick disconnects back on. If you push them down a little bit, they should make a little clicking noise showing that they locked into place. If not, as long as they're on there snug and they don't fall off or pull off easily, you should be good. Be careful, to not bend them like I just did there. But as long as you're not bending them over and over again, you should be fine. But just take it easy, take it careful. Like I said, one at a time. I did not want to change the wiring out because the wires with the disconnects on them fit SNES buttons just fine. Fits most of the SNES clone buttons just fine. So that's why I'm keeping the original wiring. Nothing wrong with it. So like I said, getting all the buttons out or getting them all to be uniform red. So that's what we're doing. So we got the last button in. Everything's legit. All the wiring is good. Nothing's falling off other than on my stick. But that's what we're going to work on next is swapping out the arcade stick that's already in here. Or, like I said, I'd put in previously a SNES clone. So here, I'm pretty much just going to... I'm going to take off this cable here from the bottom to keep it out of the way. Just easily pops off. Push it out of the way so you can get in there a little better. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the ball top off of this bad boy. Go ahead and, kind of brace it there with the flat head and then just unscrew it and the ball should come off fairly easily. Should be no problem. Unscrewed and the ball, as you've seen, rolled away and disappeared. Whatever. That's all good. So we are ready to swap this out. So what I am going to do here is simply just take my next stick and just put all the wiring on it and then pop the old stick off and put the new one in. So here we do have the Seimitsu LS-32. This is a newer version that came out with a nice little red ball top that I decided to go with. And here's the stick. These are notorious for the micro switch connections to get bent in transit. I've seen this happen a handful of times when I've ordered these sticks. It's just, fact of the matter. It happens, unfortunately. You can easily bend them back into place like I did here. As long as they're not loose, it's all right. And as you see, original Seimitsu will have a sticker, a little like hollow foil sticker, so you know it's authentic. Then the other thing that's cool with these guys is that they do have this restrictor plate, and as you see, it does say Seimitsu down there. If you take these 2 screws off, you can move the plate around. Instead of having, a square gate, you can have the circle gate or the more restricted gate. Gives you some options to swap this bad boy around. So we're just going to change the connections out. Easy peasy. Pop them onto the new stick, and then I'm going to take the old stick out, pop the new one in. Pretty simple stuff. So now we got that done. We're going to go ahead and remove the screws on the old stick. So just be careful with this. I know I pointed this out in my previous video, but the threading is pretty shallow. The threading does not go through the whole screw post, so you want to be nice with that, nice and gentle. You don't want to screw up the threading, because then you will not be able to mount your stick into this controller. So like I said, just of note, be careful with that. Now that we got her out, simple, just dropping the new one in, making sure none of your wiring is getting jacked up. I mean, you could always just wire it after you've done all this, but I just wanted to try to make sure all the directionals were good without me having to constantly double check. And you just want to line up the holes. This does fit in here perfectly fine. Any Sanwa, Seimitsu, Zippy, or clones of Seimitsu and Sanwa should fit in here okay. They all should be mounted fairly similar. So we'll just go ahead and get the screws put back in there. I said you could do this numerous ways. Wire it after you screw everything in. Whatever. Just, take your time. Make sure you're getting everything in there good. But like I said, this is pretty simple. I just wanted to kind of show real quick how easy it is to get this bad boy in here, to swap out the parts, to get some high quality pieces into this controller. And with this upgrade, yeah, Seimitsu's a little more expensive typically than Sanwa, but I think it's well worth it. So we pretty much have everything in. So now we'll just want to check, make sure all the wiring is good, that none of the quick disconnects are falling off or loose. If they're loose, you can use some pliers or something to kind of tighten them up, crimp them a little bit if you have to. But if they're fresh wires, if they're new, with the disconnects, they should all fit on there snugly. If not, just get some new wires, or like I said, change the disconnects, or just kind of crimp them with some pliers to get them to fit on there well. But everything in here seems to be good. No issues. Double checking the buttons. So everything's okay with that. Now we just want to go ahead and reconnect this cable to make sure everything is legit. Now once everything is good, we're going to want to go ahead and put our dust cover on, and then put our ball top on. The ball top will just screw on, and then you'll use a flathead underneath to make sure it's on there tight. Pretty simple, just like Sanwa and most other ball top type controllers. Tighten it up, get it good. If the ball top is loose, which typically I have not had that happen if I do this correctly with a Seimitsu or Sanwa, but some people have had issues where they're playing and the ball top becomes loose. You can always use some, thread tape, Loctite. Some people have said they used. I typically, if I've had somebody tell me they had an issue, I would give them some thread tape and they'd be good. But like I said, for my personal usage, I've never really had that happen. So now we're going to go ahead and get our bottom plate on. Everything's ready to go. You might want to test everything before you do that, but hey, I'm pretty confident, so we're good. So we got everything in place. Buttons feel good. The stick feels good. This thing is ready to go for me. The one thing you will notice with Seimitsu versus Sanwa is the shaft is going to be shorter on the Seimitsu. That's what she said. But you can always get an extender. I mean, if you need it, you can get it. For me, with this stick, it fits fine and it's awesome. It's not that much shorter. But how about we go ahead and sync this bad boy up on the Switch and play some Ultra Street Fighter 2. Boom. So we got our Switch ready. We got our controller ready. My controller was almost dead, so I had this already synced before I recorded this. But this is my first time using it. To get her synced, you're going to want to hold the start button and the Y button down for a couple seconds, and the light will flash 4 times repeatedly. And then hold down your pair button for a couple seconds until it just repeatedly flashes. Using another controller, you go down to the control options and then go to change grip order. Hit the A button on there. And then since your 8Bitdo arcade stick is in pairing mode, it should pick it up. You're going to want to hit like the L and R buttons, maybe a couple other buttons, whatever, until it pops up. And then you'll hit the A button to say, hey, good, we're ready to roll. So here, I'm going to go ahead and test her out a little bit with Street Fighter 2. Like I said, this is my first time using this stick on here. I am kind of sitting at a weird angle, so I couldn't really get the full feel for it during the recording of this. But after the fact, I used this on my Switch on the big screen, and this is the only way for me to play Street Fighter 2 on the Nintendo Switch. I am happy with my purchase of this 8-bit though, despite the high cost of it and doing all these upgrades. You don't necessarily need to do these upgrades, but for me, it just made sense. I'm used to these kind of controls and these kind of buttons, so putting this on this stick was a no-brainer for me. But you're almost going to pay, you know, to get Seimitsu and Sanwa parts for all the buttons and the stick. You're looking at just under what the 8-bit costs. So there are other options out there for sure. For me, it was a cool experience getting this and trying it out. You can use this stick on your PC for your launch box, your hyperspin builds, big box, whatever the case may be. You can use this on your Raspberry Pi, you know, with RetroPie or Recall Box, and I have tested it out on RetroPie, like in my previous video. Everything works great. Here I just kind of, you probably saw me go through the config menu, because the way these buttons are set up, I kind of had to change some of them for Street Fighter 2 to make sure everything was lined up the way an arcade would be. Just with the normal button layout of the stick, it doesn't translate perfectly to Street Fighter 2, so you probably will have to do the same thing and change the button layout in the game. No big deal. Saves your custom layout. You're good to go. But if you go back and use another controller, you'll probably want to go to the default configuration setting. But no big deal, like I said. Once I got that set, the game played great. The buttons feel great. This stick feels awesome. I really do like Seimitsu. Typically, I use Sanwas, but these Seimitsu LS-32s are really awesome. You're going to find them, depending on the source, they could be a few bucks more than what a Sanwa cost, but Seimitsu does make a lot of different versions of their stick, and there's a lot of options for them. I see quite a bit more options for Seimitsu than I do for Sanwa, but it's all going to be up to personal preference and taste. For me, they're both pretty equal as far as feel goes. I dig them both. There's certain things with Seimitsu that seem like it's higher quality, and then there's going to be things in the Sanwa that seem like they're higher quality, but overall, if you rank them together, to me, they're equals in a sense. I'm not here to argue that. I'm not an arcade snob with the buttons and sticks, but I do like having quality stuff. So I hope you guys appreciate checking this out. Hope I helped. Smash that like button if you could. Really would appreciate it. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And with that said, thumbs up on this stick. I'll catch you guys next time. Boom!
Smash that like button, subscribe if you're not